What do they say when you get on a boat?
Dope Nostalgia presents
All aboard! Let's go! Let's go!
Get ready
Red hot!
for Sail Away Sunday.
Hey, here we go!
One, two, girl, I see ya. Just sipping tequila. On earth, third shot of tequila. Está loca de la cabeza. 4, 5, 6, I see ya. Round 7, tequila. From every nation, we're sailing away. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, Live it up. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, Live it up, girl. Live it
It's time to join me with some special guests as we relive the Sail Away to Half Moon Key NKOTB Cruise 2022. Well, I'm so happy that you decided to come on the show because first of all, like we just got to know each other because I know when I was on the ship, when I was communicating with our mutual friend Megan.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about what a great person you are and that you were there and that I should go and meet
Aw.
you and stuff. So I'm
I
glad that
love
we ended up meeting. So that was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad too. I met so many people on that boat. It's like I don't even remember half of them probably. I was drinking a little bit, so I
I
don't
was
remember all of them.
I was also drinking a little bit. I didn't drink as much as I thought I would, but
Yeah, me either. Cause I was like, I didn't want to be like fall down drunk or not remember things, I didn't want to
yeah.
be drunk like that. So
That
that
was
would
the
have been a
thing
waste of money.
too. I wanted to remember stuff, I didn't want to be like totally wasted. So
Yeah.
I guess I didn't need the Cheers package, but I got the Cheers package.
I got it. Well, I got it because my roommate wanted it, and
Mhm.
I don't drink hardly ever. And I bought it, and I was like, well, I got to drink at least 3 drinks a day to make this worth it. So that's what I went in with. Like, I'm gonna drink 3, maybe 4 more. But it was nice that it included those energy drinks and soft drinks. I didn't know that at first, so
Yeah, specialty
yeah.
coffees and things like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know where the coffee place was, so I didn't get there.
Well, according to my roommate, it was lined up quite a bit, especially
Oh,
obviously in the mornings, but
probably.
said it was worth it. Like she liked it.
Yeah.
I'm not a coffee person.
Me, I like the foo-foo coffees, but I don't really like, I don't make a special trip to go to Starbucks or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the frozen ones, the ones that are like milkshakes. Those are the
Yeah.
best. But they're
Do you have-
like 500 or 600 calories. So
Now, Michelle, what part of the States do you live in?
I live just north of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. Do you have Tim Hortons there?
No.
Okay.
I've
I know-
been to the one in Canada, the one in Niagara Falls, but
Yeah.
that's the only Tim Hortons experience I've had. They sell the ground coffee,
Mm.
but it's I'm sure it's not the same.
At the grocery store.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
No, I was gonna say the ice cap is my favorite thing. And it's like you said, full of sugar, but that's what
Oh,
makes
yeah.
it good.
yep. And I speaking of sugar, those drinks on the boat, like I was drinking the pina coladas, the frozen ones, the margaritas and stuff.
Mhm.
And I think I came back diabetic because I had so much sugar that weekend. So
Here's what I learned. Buy my own straw because
yes,
those candy straws were disgusting. I hated them.
yes,
And
yeah.
ugh,
And
ugh.
oddly enough, I brought stainless steel straws, but I didn't carry them around with me.
That's
So
the
I
thing
never
too. It's
had them.
it's really kind of difficult to be carrying everything on you, even if you have yourself like a little purse or a fanny pack wherever you go. I
Yeah.
still found it. My hands were full of stuff. I was sticking my phone in my bra. I was like,
You got to do what you got to do.
got to.
I brought out the fanny pack because I'm like, I never use this thing, but
Mhm.
I don't want to be walking around carrying a wallet. I mean, I didn't need my wallet, but just the sunglasses if it got, if I was wearing them during the day and I'm out there when it gets to be night.
Mhm.
Can't remember what else I had in there, chapstick, stuff like that. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I wore a fanny pack and I'm proud.
And the other thing I needed to learn to do that I found on this cruise is learn how to pack, because I
Yes.
found I was always just trying to find stuff because my stuff
Yes.
was thrown everywhere all the time.
Our room looked like a little tornado went through there, and we had like the tiny room on deck 2.
Mm.
It was just a double, like 2 twin beds, interior room, so not even a window.
Mhm.
My roommate, she was a lot more organized than I was, but I had like claimed this entire corner, and it was just like my suitcase threw up, and I was digging through, and at one time I didn't know what was clean, what was dirty. And so finally, I think the day before we disembarked, I went through stuff and I was like, okay, I'm going to put all my dirty clothes in this suitcase and then all my clean clothes in this one. And I kind of made sense of it all, but it was a mess like the whole weekend.
Yeah, me too. You're speaking my language. We had the same type of cabin, so I had really no room to like really open up the suitcases. I just
Yeah,
kept throwing stuff everywhere, and it was just a
yeah.
disaster.
You just had to throw it and go. And it seemed like we didn't have a lot of time to like transition, like you're coming in off the beach and then, oh wait, you've
Mhm.
got to be back on board for the game show or the concert or
Yeah.
whatever. And you didn't have a lot of turnaround time. And then, oh, by the way, if you want to eat dinner in the main dining room, you got to fit that in too.
Yep.
And I mean, it just got to the point to where we weren't even going to the dining room. We just got what we got, and usually it was the stupid pizza that I got sick of by the end of the trip, and because that
Oh,
was the only thing open at 3 a.m.
I did like the pizza, but I suppose after if you're having it a lot, you get tired of
Yeah.
it. The buffet was good, and I got into the dining room twice, and we had a great dinner both those nights. So, but yeah, the turnaround time was hard because there's this itinerary we need to stick to to make sure we
Yep.
make all the
Yes,
events, right?
that we don't miss anything. I mean, even though, that first night when we first got on the boat, so this is my first cruise, or
Ah,
well, my first new kids cruise, not my first cruise, but new kids
yes.
cruise. So I didn't know what to expect. I'd only heard stories from other people, hey, you're not going to have time for this. You're not going to sleep. You're not going to be in your cabin, which all of that was true.
Yeah.
Um,
So worth
but
it, by the way. Edit,
what's
so worth it.
yes, yes. I mean, there was I'm getting off track, but there was one night that my Apple Watch told me that it says time in bed 1 hour 24 minutes. I'm like, when was that?
Well, that was a nice nap.
Yeah, it was a nap. So, but anyway, like we got on that ship and everybody said go straight to the Lido deck and get your spot and whatever. So we went up to like deck 10 because I wasn't sure if I was ready for the crowd. I didn't know if I wanted to be down there by the stage and stuff. And
Mhm.
because just of all the stories that I've heard, and I was like, I don't know, I'll just stay up here and kind of watch for a minute and see what happens and whatever.
Mhm.
So we stayed on deck 10 for sail away, but we stayed up there for hours. And I was like, I really had time. I could have gone back to the room, and because nobody was fighting over a spot on deck 10. So
Well, yeah, I suppose.
I finally got my bag to my room, and then I came right back up and I was like so excited. But we sat out there for 4 hours or whatever until the sail away party. And then as soon as that was over, then it was like, okay, run back to the cabin, take a shower, get ready for dinner, go back,
Mhm.
go to dinner. And then I don't remember what was the first night, if there wasn't a game show or anything the first night, or maybe there was.
Game show was first night
Yes,
because I
yes, the
remember it
game
being
show.
like pretty quickly after the sail away party game show was
Yes,
starting. So, oh man, that was one of my highlights. I completely loved it. What group were you in, A or B?
I think I was in A. I had early dining.
Yeah, me
Or
too.
was so yeah. The downside is when I got my seat for the game show, I was really ticked off because we were right behind this giant ass pole. And
Oh,
I was like, what is this? Because we were way far, like second to the last row on the lower level. And there's a giant pole in our way. And I couldn't see the stage or couldn't see the stage for the pole. And I'm like dancing around it, And I wanted to go and say something to Rose Tours and say, you really should have sold this as an obstructed view or something. And
hmm
I know that they assign your seats based on when you booked and stuff, but really when they get to that point, I don't know. I feel like they need to tell people that there's going to be this big pole in front of you.
hmm
Um, and I know that there were people like up near the stage that paid for that priority seating or something,
hmm
and they were way off to the side. They couldn't even see Joe for when he did the Joe show. They couldn't even see him. And they're like in the front, the first 10 rows, but they had added those seats. And I don't know. That's just one complaint that I would have had is that, this
Did you
the
mention it in
seating
the
was not the
survey?
best. I did. I did.
Okay, that's good. That's good
Don't
that
know
you
if anything
mentioned
will
it.
happen, but I was like, this really should have been sold as an obstructed view, or you should have, marked those seats off.
So we got through game show. Day 2 happens. What did you do all day for beach day?
So okay, so I bought a cabana and my room for Friday, and then my roommate bought one for Saturday. Didn't spend a minute in there. That was dumb. That was like a waste of $70 basically.
Yeah.
We got off the little tender, and I had a little raft that it kind of rolled up or whatever. I got in the water for a few minutes, but we were so far down from the actual like pirate ship thing
Yeah.
that I was afraid I was going to miss something. So I literally just like packed everything up and walked down there. We were standing up by the flags, so we were up by the stage. We stood there, we watched all the games and stuff. And this is like when I had my first opportunity to get a selfie with any of them. And Danny, he's awesome. So he he was standing by me for a minute, and I was kind of teasing him, and he's like, my team didn't know what to do or what they were doing. It was the hula hoop thing, the hula hoop
Oh,
debacle.
okay.
And I was like, well, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Because I was on team green anyway. So
Nice. I was on team green as well, but not actually playing, obviously.
yeah. So
Mhm.
we're standing there talking, and I'm like, hey, can I was videotaping at the time anyway. And I kind of put it up there, and I'm like, let's do a selfie real quick. So I put it up, and I didn't realize that I had the zoom on my so
Oh,
literally my selfie with Danny is like half of my face and then half of his face. So I'm like, is this how my weekend is gonna go?
that should definitely be your phone wallpaper.
It was funny. Oh man.
Nice
And then
shot.
I was talking to Frank a little bit too. He was funny. But yeah, so we watched the beach games, and then after that it was like, because it took a while, and we went back and we sat in the little lounge chairs for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, because I think I was waiting on somebody. Like my roommate was she was getting the selfie with Donnie.
Mhm.
So like she stood in the line on the beach, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to stand in line with all that nonsense. I had attempted, albeit, I wasn't one that was going to like shove my phone in their faces and stuff
Mhm.
and chase them around. I could not believe the way some of the people would act when they would come near them. Now, I will back that up and say I was like a little schoolgirl the first time I met them too. My first meet and greet did not go well because I was just way too nervous. But over the last few years, the more meet and greets I've done, they're people.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's cool. You're in a band that I really like, and hey, you're really hot too. But but we'll just pretend that, we're friends here. And I just sort of act normal-ish, I would say, around them now. So anyway, I kind of like motioned, or my roommate like jumps out and like gets a selfie with Jordan on the beach. And I'm like, man, you are just like brave enough to do that. And I'm not that, I'm not going to jump out there and try to get your attention like that. And, I kind of motioned and I was like, hey, what about me, or something like that to him. And he was like, he held his finger up like, just a second, I'll be back. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, he didn't come back, and it was okay. I wasn't mad. I knew that, he probably, last thing he wants to do is sit there and go and take selfies with people. I don't know.
I'm sure his intentions were good. His
Yeah.
intentions were too, but like you get distracted by things and there's so much
Yeah.
happening, right?
And then, so when he was leaving, when the beach games were over and they were going back up into the pirate ship, like I saw him taking selfies with people on the other side of the stage. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get one, I guess this is my chance. So I went over there. And oh my God, it was crazy. And like, I think, is Corey his bodyguard? So I think it was Corey that was there. And Corey's like, back up and don't walk behind him and all of these things. And I just stood there and, he didn't reach for my phone. So I was like, okay, whatever. So he just walked on up, didn't get the selfie there. So, we went back and got ready basically we essentially went back, took a shower, and went right out on Lido.
Mhm.
It was like, and at this point, I'm like, okay, what was the second night? My memory is terrible.
Second night was Bring Back the Time night.
was Bring
and that
Back
was
the Time. So Bring Back the Time, I wore a Top Gun Maverick type costume and long pants and long sleeves. That was not a good idea. So, and at this point, I had met up with some friends that were down by the stage, and I got brave enough, and I'm like, okay, I'll stay down here this time because I'm really up here and I'm really excited. And that was the night that we were docked, or I guess the ship was doing circles. Somebody said that it was doing circles on the map, but it did not feel like that boat was moving. There was
I
no
didn't think it was
airflow.
moving. It was moving?
Somebody said that it was doing circles, that it showed it doing circles on the map, but I didn't think it was moving either. I don't know.
I don't see why it would be. Anyways,
Yeah, there
maybe
was
somebody who was on the boat can clear that up for us and let us know. Was
Yeah.
the ship
Was
moving
the boat actually moving that night?
after it had been docked? Because what? I don't know.
I know.
Anyway.
I know. Because I don't know. But there was no airflow where we were standing, and it's just jam packed with people. So one lesson I would say, or one thing I would say, is if you don't like people, if you don't like people rubbing against you, if you don't like them touching you, bumping you, smelling you, whatever, it's probably not a good idea to go down near the stage. Now, is it fun? It's a blast.
Yeah.
Absolute blast. But as the night went on, I was drenched, and I wasn't even drinking alcohol at this point. I was drinking water like I was supposed to. And we're dancing. And all of a sudden I get like this super weird feeling, like I'm completely dizzy-ish. I'm like, what is this? Doesn't feel right. So I kind of leaned over onto my knees, and I was kind of leaning over like, okay, give me a second, I'll be okay. And at the same time, there was somebody else on the other stage that had fainted or was having seizures or something. And but I didn't know that at the time. So eventually, like as things went on, I was like, okay, I don't think I can stand back up. And I literally went to the ground myself. Like I went down to sit down for a minute. Now, if you can imagine trying to sit down in this mass of people.
Yeah.
But I kind of like scooted my way under the ropes a little bit. So I was kind of, my back end was in the ADA section, and I was facing away from the stage, and I was just like, I got this pounding headache and couldn't stand. I mean, it was weird. I didn't know what was going on. So eventually I ended up going into the clinic by wheelchair because there were a couple of nurses. So I know Jenny, so JK's mental shot was there and she was helping take care of me. And there was somebody
And
else that was a nurse.
Christine HK is a nurse. She was there to help you too.
Okay. I didn't know who else it was. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, those are my girls. Shout out.
So they're awesome. So they, they helped me. I got the wheelchair and went down to the clinic. Turns out I was just dehydrated. They drew a bunch of blood and did an EKG and all this stuff on me. So, but yeah, so I was in there all night getting these fluids. And the next morning, I slept for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I got up and it's like, let's do it again.
Let's talk about what happened to you. Okay. Because this is like one of those things that you like dream would happen.
Oh God. Yeah.
Well, this was going on.
It did feel like a dream. So, all right. So as I'm sitting there on the ground, all of a sudden this voice comes over to me and I hear a guy's voice and he's like, is she okay? Or are you okay? Did you fall? Did you hurt yourself? And I was like, no, I'm just dizzy. And then he's like, do you need water? Or can somebody get her some water? And I kind of look up and I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking Jordan. But I didn't freak out because I was too loopy or something. I was like, oh, yeah, water'd be great. And so a couple of minutes go by and I guess he comes back. And at this point, he's approaching me from my back. And I'm in a chair. Yeah. And he comes over and he hands me a water bottle. And then for some reason, I don't even know, but he walked kind of behind me and he was rubbing my shoulders a couple of times. And I'm like, I didn't put two and two together again because I'm not there totally.
It was like you were at D-Dub's back rub.
Yes. And then he comes over to the side and he's fanning me. And he's like, am I even helping? Is this helping you? And I was like, not really. Well, oh, wait a minute. And then I realized it's Jordan. And then I was like, yes, it's helping. Please keep fanning me. And then Annie was there and Annie is like, it would really make her feel good as if you take a selfie with her or something like that. And so somebody took a picture of us and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, that was the highlight. It's unfortunate that it had to happen that way, but
it's so sweet. Oh,
it
Jordan.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Dope Nostalgia listeners, I love you and I thank you so much for being a part of this show and its success over the last 2 years. We have what's called Patreon for those who want to support the show financially. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a subscriber and get bonus content, early podcast release, all kinds of cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. There's different tiers of membership starting at only $1 a month. And we even have some special merch for you guys who are in it for the long run. So please, join our Patreon. It's at www.patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
Some of you will be going to dinner and some will be going to Joey's show and some will be going to both. What I'd like to say is every single one of you now officially has a selfie with me. If you ask me again tonight, you will be making a wrong choice. Let's not make a wrong choice tonight. I wish to dance with you, party with you, celebrate with you, and love the shit out of you. Don't ask for another selfie. I'll give you anything you want in this world, really. Almost anything. Except another fucking selfie. Have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you on the Lido deck. We took a poll of all the UK fans, and it is officially Lido Deck in the Queen's English. And in her honor, it is officially Lido Deck. See you tonight.
You got looked over at the clinic and then everything was
Yep.
okay. And you got the hydration and everything went.
Yes.
How did the rest? Okay. So then we go into day 3,
Yep.
back to beach day, part 2.
I didn't go to the beach the second day because I'm like, I
Neither did
can't.
I. Neither did
I
I.
cannot go to the beach again. I mean, I love the beach, don't get me wrong. And the weather turned out to be beautiful. After everybody was so afraid it was going to rain. I mean, we were all looking at the weather 2 days ahead of time. It's like, oh man, it's going to rain the whole time. No, it
Mhm.
rained at the perfect time during the Lido Deck party.
Oh, you mean when they were like taking shirts off and stuff?
Oh
yeah, that was a great time to rain.
That was the best.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and then I was really just kind of moseying around and talking to people and everything else. And then I went to the Lido Deck again early, was hanging out. Now this was Halloween night, right? So
Mhm.
this was I had the most simple mask or costume, and I was like, if I get noticed, I didn't know how this actually worked. I thought the people that got pulled up on stage were the same people, or maybe people that they knew, like their family and friends and things. So I didn't know how getting pulled up on stage worked.
Mhm.
But I was up by one of the side stages, and my costume was just a big old middle finger mask.
Right over your head, this huge
Right
middle
over my
finger
head.
sticking out. It was
a
great.
lot of people thought it was something else from afar.
Phallic.
I thought it was kind of phallic.
Nice.
But no, it was the middle finger, and that's all I had. I mean, I just had on regular clothes and the middle finger mask.
Is it hot
And
in there?
within
Can you breathe in that thing?
no, there was a little hole for the mouth, and there were little holes for the eyes. Now we were trying to make the before the party even started, we were trying to make the mask, the eyes bigger, so
Yeah.
I could actually see. And then it was kind of like flopping, like it was, like this floppy dickhead, really, is what it
Like
was.
exactly. It was a flaccid phallic
Yes.
object
And
on your
so
head.
Annie gets a water bottle, and she's like, oh, let's put a water bottle up there and it'll make it stand up and stuff, which turned out to be a great idea because it worked.
Mhm.
But we were making all kinds of inappropriate gestures, because we were saying it was a big old dick, and just take your imagination from
I
there.
can
And
imagine the type of pictures you may have taken with that.
yeah, they're not out there, I don't think.
We don't get to see. Come on.
I think there was one that got floated around, but it didn't show anybody's face. So there was one
There
that
you
I
go.
think ended up on Instagram, but it was funny.
Nice.
So within like the first, I think 10 minutes of I don't even know how long it was before the first time when Donnie came over to that side stage. So I was kind of away from the side stage, like over by the stairs.
Mhm.
And like this girl that I met that night, her name was Brandy. She's awesome too. But she all of a sudden takes my hand and like pushes me towards the stage. Like, I'm trying to get Donnie's attention, and I'm sitting here flipping him off. And the next thing I know, he starts laughing and he calls me up there, and I'm like, wait, what? Is this really happening? So I run up to the little railing, and I'm like, oh crap, there's not really an easy way to get up on stage here. Like there was no opening, there was no stairs.
Yeah.
So I had to climb over the railing, which is kind of funny for somebody my size to be trying to do this. The girls behind me are like pushing me up and over.
Yeah.
I get up on stage and I'm dancing and jumping and everything else, and I've got this mask on, and Donnie, he comes over, he puts his arm around me, and he starts pointing to the main stage. Well, Joe is on the main stage. Well, I start flipping him off, so I'm like, hey. And then I don't know. And I leaned over to Donnie and I was like, I can't see a fucking thing. I can't see. And he was like, well, here, he kind of guided me over to the side and I was dancing the rest of the night, but then it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, this party just started. I can't get off the stage because I won't get back on.
Yeah. I had a conversation with the Gacky girls about the same thing. Is like, it seems so exciting to get on the stage, but then what if you have to pee or something? Like,
I know.
you're up there.
You are. And I had to yell for my water to be passed down to me. And, the funny thing is and this is probably from being so dehydrated. I was dehydrated that entire trip.
Mhm.
And I was drinking so much water, but I wasn't going to the bathroom enough, I feel like. So
Your body
it's
needed that
salt
water.
It's that salt water. But yeah, I mean, there were a couple of times that I'm like, these old knees and this back, I don't know if this is gonna just stand the chance. Cause there were a couple of they were obviously a lot younger than I was up on that stage, and they're dancing and going crazy. And I'm just like, I don't know that I could do this for another 5 hours.
Well, at least those baby blockheads were in diapers, so they were okay if they had to pee, right?
Yes.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm sure they did not do that.
I don't know. I don't think they did. I hope not. But somebody did ask them if they were functional diapers. So, and they were like, yeah.
I love that whole thing. The girls dressed up great. I thought their costumes were awesome.
That was very clever.
Good job,
I
baby
saw a
blockheads.
lot of great costumes that night. I mean, I can't imagine, like, the girl that was Chewbacca on the side. How in the world
She was
did
my roommate.
make it? Oh my God, how did she make it in that thing?
Not very long. She had to
Yeah.
take it off pretty soon because it was rough. She had a fan inside. Like,
Really?
the neck fan that kind of just hangs around your neck, and it's not enough.
No.
But she's happy though because Joe gave her a shout out.
He did. He did.
Yeah, they had a whole theme. There was her and her friends had a whole theme of Star Wars, and it was really cool. But yeah,
Oh,
she was
that's
brave.
awesome.
She was brave to venture out in the Chewbacca costume.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many great costumes that night. And then, GPS night was no different. There was a lot of great things I saw that night too, like the Canadian polar bears on the top that had like bras and a G-string. I'm like, what?
Those are my people.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Well, I don't know who they were, but I was like, represent. I love you.
Yes.
I had a Canadian baseball shirt on, and on the back it said, I'm on the A team, EH.
Yeah.
And we waved that. My friends Tracy and Joseph waved that at the guys, waved that at Jordan. And then Joe points at it and he's like, look, it's your homeland. Then he goes and Donnie gets the Canadian flag and Jordan's walking around with it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy.
Yeah. There was, I know I skipped a whole lot, but I really didn't do a whole lot on that day of the GPS night either. So a friend of mine got what I thought was going to be a great location, which it was a good location, but I moved a little bit that night. So we started up by the video camera up on like deck 10. So when Joe came up there and started videotaping, I was right next to him. I was like, oh my God, because he was trying to take it off the stand and like nobody knew. And the friend that I was with, like she's a photographer, but I don't know her very well. But I don't know if she's done videography before or not, but it seemed like she was trying to help him get the camera off. Joe was trying to rip it off. I don't even know. And I was like, we've got to get this camera off of here because this is going to be great.
If he could take that thing around. Oh, man.
Yes, I was. And then all of a sudden the video guy shows up and I'm like, oh, you didn't trust that Joe could do it, huh? So he was like he got it off the stand and like showed him where the zoom was. And so then, that whole thing was
and then
funny.
Joe
He
goes
stayed up
wild.
there. Yep. He stayed up there for like, God, I want to say 20 minutes. It felt like forever.
Filming the back of Jordan's misspelled shirt.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the moment maybe where Jordan found out. He didn't
Where
realize.
he saw it. Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunate. It's
You
stuff like
got
that happens, but you
it's
think
like
that somebody's
had
going to
one
proofread.
job. You had
You
one
had
job.
one job.
Read the damn shirt. Who knows how that happened, but I think it was funny. It was hilarious.
So he was
Honestly.
Jordan Goodnight or
Night.
guy.
Yeah. Something.
Then
I
it's
think
funny because
I think it
John's was
added
spelled
another
right.
hilarious moment. That's all. Just another. Yeah, they got one night right.
They got one right. I don't
But-
know. Maybe they picked it up at the flea market or something, and who knows?
Let's blame Vistaprint. Let's just
Yes, there you go.
although they made my banner, so shout out to Vistaprint.
Yay!
Wrapping things up too, I want to say, what do you think was one of the highlights for you? What are you going to take as a special memory from this cruise? And are you going to do the cruise again?
Well, the shoulder rub was a special memory.
Yes.
Aside from that, I met a lot of people that I've only known through the internet.
Mhm.
Like I met you. I've only known you through the internet.
Yeah.
I met, the girl Brandy that I spoke of. My roommate, she's from Brazil, and I didn't know her. We talked a few times before so I ended up selling the spot, or my roommate's spot,
Mhm.
and she's the one that bought it. And so we talked a few times beforehand. But getting to know her and actually meeting people from different countries. I met people from Germany, Ireland,
Yeah.
Brazil, and all over the place. And then seeing old friends too. I ran into a lot of people that I had already known for a long time. So so that's probably the special thing that I would take away from it.
Mm.
And you can't really put I don't know how to say it, but you can't really put a value to that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Those are the memories
Just,
that you
yes,
take with you too.
making those memories, good and bad.
Yeah.
You might have something bad happen on the ship that that you're always going to remember, and then you're going to be like, well, I guess I won't do that again, or that was a bad idea or something. And
Yeah, I would say if anything, like there's definitely things I learned for next time that I can do better next time that will make my
Yeah.
experience the best it can be. But for the most part, everything was just a wonderful, glorious time.
Yes.
A
And
lot of credit
what I
to
learned,
to Donald for helping that happen.
yes, he's so amazing. He is. All of the guys are in their own way. I mean,
Yeah.
I had some people that were asking me before this trip, like they're like, what's this cruise you're going on? And I'm like, well, it's the New Kids on the Block cruise. And they just they're like, the New Kids on the Block from like the 80s, they're still around. And I'm like, yes, in a major way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like they're going away anytime soon. So
And people will say to me, are they actually there on the boat?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And
Of
you
course they
actually
are.
get to see them, and if the only thing you do on the cruise, everybody's guaranteed that photo op, right? So you get to meet them, say hi, and get a photo taken
Mhm.
with them. And if you don't do anything else on the boat that related to them, then
Mhm.
it's still worth it.
And I tell my single male friends, come on the boat.
Come on
There's
the boat.
3,000 women who are worked up.
Mm-hmm.
You should
I
probably come on the boat.
I saw these guys that there were these two guys, and I would see them, I think, every night, and they were just having the time of their lives. And I guess it was a guy, I heard, I don't know, but the guy had been on the boat last year with his wife, or the last cruise, not last year, but last cruise. So this time he brought his best friend. So it was just the guys, and they wwere having an absolute blast out there on, the
That's
deck
cool.
parties every night. But I would say, don't, and I know everybody says don't go in with any expectations, and that's absolutely true. I
Yeah.
went into this, I was like, I'm not going in with any expectations. I'm not gonna, chase the guys around and hang out on the deck 7 or wherever they stay and try to be this stalker type person, because I'm not. But whatever happens, if I get the selfies, great. If I have the opportunity to get one, great. if not, that's fine. And that's the thing that I would say. Am I going on the next cruise? Yes. As far as I know, yes. However, I will have to put a disclaimer out there that I just bought a new house and I'm moving into it Wednesday. So
Oh, wow.
I hope
A
that
week away.
the budget will allow me to go on the boat next year. If
That
not,
is
then
fair.
definitely the year after.
Congratulations.
It's a lot. Well, thank you.
That is fair. So you might be able to do it. I mean, they were talking May, they were talking October. I would really like it to be October. Give us some time. I'd like to get it.
Yes.
I'd like to get it like a nicer cabin if possible, with a window.
Yeah, I would love to be able to get a bunch of my girlfriends together and say, hey, let's get a suite, or let's get one of these that sleeps like 8 people. And
And we need
'cause
to
I
get
think that's
Megan on the boat.
yes. And I've already claimed her, so I told her she has to room with me. Sorry, everybody out there, Megan's mine.
I want to meet her in person. I'm excited to meet her in person, so we got to make that happen too.
She's awesome. She's awesome. I've been down to see her. She lives in Kentucky, so it's
Mhm.
it's about a 3-hour drive from me. So I've been to see her a couple of times, and
That's JK's Real Ho, people, in case you didn't know.
and I'm
Megs.
Ionic Bondage 273C, which
There you go. Check you out
It's-
on
it's-
Instagram.
it's
Twitter.
not my second job, I promise.
I'll tag
sounds
you in
kinda
all.
bad.
I'll tag you in all the social media so everybody will know where they can follow you. And
Yes. I'm not that interesting though. So when
Aw.
when new kids are around, when I go to concerts and cruises and stuff, I take my videos and I'll post them, but I'm, I really don't post much else. All right.
It was
cool.
a good conversation. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes. Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, good luck with your move.
Thanks. I'm going to be dead this week, but we'll get it done.
All the best to you. Take
Thanks.
care.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Live it up, girl, live it up, girl, live it up, girl. I don't drink, but I'll watch you. Live it up, girl, live it.
Join me next week for more tales of our adventures out at sea with the new kids on the block.
Somebody play it again.